story about Liz Truss's Chief of Staff, Mark Fullbrook.
That's right. So we're reporting tonight that Mark Fullbrook, the Prime Minister's most senior aide, has recused himself from all foreign policy, security, migration-related decisions, any decisions of any kind, he said, about Libya, after he conducted a paid lobbying campaign on behalf of a Kremlin-linked politician based in the war-torn North African state.
So do we know why he was lobbying? What was the purpose behind doing it?
We do. So Fullbrook, I should say, prior to getting this role in Truss's Downing Street, ran his own lobbying company, which represented all sorts of clients. He, for instance, worked for a PPE company. He's advised a Venezuelan banker on a US electoral contest, and he, in this instance, was providing assistance to this Libyan politician who was seeking international recognition from, well, both the US, the UK, and the UN. So Libya's, since the civil war, has been split into sort of two halves, and the western part of the country, in particular Tripoli, is recognised by the international community. And Fathi Bashagha, who was paying Fullbrook, was trying to get into the corridors of power and change our foreign policy in relation to this country.
Gabriel, Liz Truss, I'm right in saying she doesn't have an ethics advisor anymore, I think, but she appointed Fullbrook as her chief of staff. Is the Prime Minister in any way implicated in this?
Well, I mean, Fullbrook lobbied a number of ministers and officials, including Truss herself, Priti Patel, John Bew, that's Boris Johnson's chief foreign policy advisor and defence special advisor. He even, Fullbrook, got his client in a room in Parliament with Kwasi Kwarteng and Nadeem Zahawi, which, served as this great photo opportunity for this Libyan man seeking recognition, and posed a very direct challenge to Britain's foreign policy, which is that it does not endorse parallel governments in that country.
I think a lot of people get very confused about lobbying rules and the powers that people possess when they're in government, don't they? Some people say, well, you're in a place of privilege. I will use the best people and I will get them in, and that's not lobbying. That's just useful to get the best names in the job. Whereas others say, it's borderline corruption because it's an abuse of power. Can you explain why, in this case, you believe it's so significant?
Well, I think there's a transparency dimension. Right. So neither Kwarteng nor Zahawi, who met Fullbrook's client, declared that they'd done so. I mean, I think, the peddling of influence is quite a broad thing. I mean, politics is in and of itself active contestation, different people promoting different ideas. You're allowed to promote ideas. I think the public are just allowed to know who's promoting those ideas and who has the ears of those in power. I'd also say that, lobbying, again, just means, I mean, I don't know how one would define it. Presumably it means, acting in a way designed to influence somebody else. And in this instance, nevertheless, you can lobby for anybody. You can lobby for the NHS if you wanted. But here, the guy who's now at the heart of the British state was lobbying for somebody who was expressly trying to undo the British state's oft-stated foreign policy. This is a man who, by the way, is supported by a warlord linked to the Wagner Group, Putin's private army, and generally is a sort of person that one wouldn't necessarily expect the person running the British government to be consorting with, which, by the way, is probably why Fullbrook has now said to us, well, he acknowledges, he's not acknowledged wrongdoing, and I'm not sure that we're accusing anybody of any specific infringement, but he has nevertheless decided proactively to tell us he will recuse himself from all decisions about this country, which is, I mean, I've spoken to a number of people in and around Whitehall this week. They can't remember any instance of a chief aide to a prime minister having to withdraw from intervening on an entire policy area.